Hey there everyone, it's Cloudchief, and today I'm doing another Unplugged video. I was planning on for this week's video to kind of be a continuation on last week's video, but then I got a really good comment, and that comment was asking, what should I be doing for dailies on 11 that would kind of be efficient? And I thought that was a really good question, and I wanted to make that the topic. The reason I think that's a really good question is there's a lot of games out there. 14 really comes to mind that there's like dailies that you should be doing. I know when I was playing 14, every day I was making sure I did a certain number of roulettes, like made sure I did at least expert roulette. Typically would do high level, main scenario, and trials just to make sure you're getting enough tombstones so you can get the gear that you want. I was making sure when I was playing 14 I was doing hunt marks because you get XP. It was a great way to get XP for characters over level 50, and there was just a variety of things that it was kind of optimal to do to, level up your character. Same thing for when I played the original Destiny. There was a lot of like stuff that I would do pretty much systematically every day. So in 11, that's a lot more obscure and it doesn't really have, that many like quests and things you flag. What should you be doing every day? And the funny thing is, there's very little that I really do consistently every day. Really, the only things that I do come down to, Records of Eminence. Under Other, you'll have, I think, it's like kill just 30 enemies that yield XP. Buff allies, I don't know, 10 to or 20 times, and then heal for more than 500 HP, like 20 times. And then under your Unity, your main Unity, there'll be like, say something in your Unity chat. It rotates. Sometimes it'll be, be in a party and click a home point while in the same zone as another Unity member, someone who's in the same Unity group as you. And then there's like, again, kill 30 mobs, kill 10 mobs with your, your Unity leader summoned, and then kind of like all the beasts, different ones like amorphs and whatever. Yeah, you get the point. Basically, that's what I do. Make sure I go through and mark at least all the kills daily. And the thing is, you don't even really need to go and kill them if you have a lot of space in your book, because they'll hold for a few days. Except for the Other, but Other, it is a daily thing, but I mean, it's not even that big of a deal. But I make sure I flag those daily. I make sure I log on to my main character and my mules every day, at least when the log-on campaign's going, so I'm getting login campaign points. And I make sure I check the goblin that has chests, but the funny thing is, I only really check him daily when there's a campaign going. If you have a ton of points, somehow like backlogged, like if you played the game and then you quit for a while, you would still accumulate points, and so you could be opening that chest daily. But if you don't even have a lot of points, you can only really open the chest once every 5 days, at least for the one that I think is relevant, because it costs 50 points, you get 10 points a day. So that's pretty much what I do for dailies. Now, as in what should you be doing daily to progress your character? The thing about that is everyone's going to be in a different place in the game. So the best thing that I can do is kind of give you a general overview so that way you can figure out what you want to do, and that way you can kind of sit down and focus what it is you want to do, because everyone could be doing any kind of different things, and it really comes down to what is your goal. Like a perfect example is I'm working on what's it called, Nirvana. So I'm working on getting a relic, or not a relic, and a mythic for my summoner, and I'm at the stage where I just need Alex. I have all the assaults done, all of the Enherjar and all that stuff. I did all that with Yells when they were getting their death penalty, so I got all that preliminary stuff done. Right now, I actually just passed the halfway point, so I need a little bit less than 15,000 Alexandrite to basically wrap it up and get the base mythic. So that's where I'm at for that. So what I'm doing daily is I'm making sure I'm going out and doing salvage, and I have a guide that basically shows what I'm farming, and I'm farming that every day. And then other than that, I'm just kind of doing, what I can do to either make money or progress my character. Right now, I'm mainly focusing on getting job points for either Corsair, Geo, or War, and I'm looking just for parties to get into that, and then Ambuscade. And just because I've gotten all the main things I want from Ambuscade, at this point Ambuscade could end for the month, and I wouldn't really care, but I still want to get points because there's still good money items. And even beyond that, I'm going to be working on an All Mace at some point. I already have an All Mace, but it's only level 90. I've had it from way back in the day. But I want to get that leveled up so it's, 119 and Afterglow it. But, so I'm gonna be probably getting like heavy metal plates with points from Ambuscade and start jumping into that, so that way it's slowly making progress on that. But I mean, it really comes down to it's what do you want to do? And I mean, I think the main question that anyone should ask if they're not sure what they should be doing every day is, what jobs do you want to level? Like, do you want to focus on Blue Mage? Do you want to focus on War? Do you want to focus on Ninja or Geo? Figure out which job you want to really focus on, and you could probably pick 1 to 3 jobs. I think getting more than 3 jobs, you're starting to stretch yourself a little thin. 1 to 2 would be really focused, but I could definitely see someone pulling off 3 jobs. So figure out what 3 jobs you really want to like get leveled and geared up, and then what I would do at that point is take some time and do a little research. I would probably at that point just go into Google and type in, like, I'm in the process of leveling up my War. I had a Yukon Versa from, again, back in the Abyssia days when I used to level it. I just got finished afterglowing it, like, literally last week. So I'm in the process of gearing up my Warrior and trying to get better gear for that. It's gotten a lot of gear, and it's pretty good at this point. I mainly really want to get job points for it, but there's not a ton of gear besides Omen. I'm making sure I'm not doing Omen every day, but going in and trying to at least solo a little bit of Omen. I can get like 2 cards solo, and I'm planning on making some videos. I'm still newish to Omen. I've only probably done maybe a total of 10 runs of Omen, and so I'm still getting that down before I'm going to make a guide. But as soon as I have that, I'll be making a guide for that. But so that's where I'm focusing. I'm focusing on getting my War kind of geared up, getting, like I said, job points for Corsair, Geo, and War, and then just getting Alexandrite for my Mythic for Summoner. And that's what I'm focusing on daily. So kind of jumped around because I already said a lot of that, but if you're trying to get geared up, I mean, like I said, go look at some of these gear guides, and just to be honest, so you're aware, a lot of these gear guides are outdated, but it gives you a good starting point. You can actually go and look at these gear guides and get an idea of what some of the best gear is, and you don't need the best gear to be to do extremely well. And some of the gear is just like absolutely, it's almost impossible, well, not impossible, but would take an extraordinarily amount of time to get all this top end gear that in some of these gear guides that people post. And it's not realistic to try and get all of it, but I mean, a lot of it is very obtainable. So like, I know like earrings and rings you can get from a lot of it you can get from like high tier battles, or even like just tier 1 NMs from Esja Sky, and it's not terribly difficult to get some of the accessories. It would be very easy to team up with people, or if you even already have a job well geared, just going out and soloing it with trusts. But I mean, pretty much do some research and figure out what you want to gear up. If you want to, like I said, I'm trying to even think what would be a good example. I guess I could take blue, because I have Blue Mage. I never really played Blue Mage back in the day, but I have gotten it to 99. I have it geared. I have gear so that way it's 119. I have 1 Colada, and then back from the old Link shell that I was in on Valifor, I got one of the Sky weapons that the sky weapon that Blue can use. I don't even remember the name. And then I also took the sword from Alluvian Skirmish and re-augmented it so it would be a really good offhand. It has like quadruple attack on it, and just augmented it so it would be really good for Blue Mage to use, because I would be main handing Coladas. And at this point, I mean, I would probably do more research, because I'm not trying to gear up Blue, but what gear I want to get. And then, like I said, if I wanted to get all mace, I would start focusing on that. In terms of if you're focusing on a relic or mythic, and that's what you want to get a job and have a job with a relic or mythic, then you should be doing Dynamis every day. I know when I was working on Aegis for my Paladin, I was doing Dynamis, like I said, every day, sometimes doing multiple runs a day, because that way I'm having currency constantly coming in, so I'm making progress. Since, like I said, I'm not doing Relic right now, working on Mythic, that's why I'm doing Salvage. If you're doing a Mythic, you're doing Salvage. For Empyrean weapons, the biggest bottleneck there is going to be heavy metal plates and then either Rift Cinder or Rift Dross. For them, it's not efficient to farm them from Void Watch unless the campaign is going. So what I would recommend if you really want an Empyrean is either like do Salvage, get the Alex, and then turn it around and sell it, and then buy heavy metal plates or Rift Cinder, Dross, whatever you need for the Empyrean, and get the items that way. And you could even farm Dynamis or farm other ways. Also, you know, be aware of what campaigns are going on. Like currently there is a high tier battlefield campaign. So getting in a group and going and doing that, and then you could turn around and either, if you're trying to afterglow a weapon, use whatever plutons or whatever items you need to afterglow it. You know, you can get them from that because the campaign's currently going. If not, you can turn around and sell them and be putting that money towards buying whatever items you need to upgrade your, you know, the weapon that you want. And, I mean, that's kind of what it is. You kind of have to do research. For me, myself, I kind of figure out what I want to do, and I do a little bit of research and then go and do it, and I'm pretty good at keeping everything organized in my head. As for Yelsa Lenore, they're more of actually a book person. They actually will go in Excel and figure out, be like, when they were making their death penalty, they set up a spreadsheet, said, okay, if I'm buying 2 million gil worth of Alex a day at, I don't remember what their price is, but they had a set price, like we'll just say 7k. Said if I was buying 2 million gil worth of Alex at 7k a day and doing salvage, getting an average of 100 a day, I would finish my mythic at X rate. And the thing is, they were pretty consistently staying above the average that they set. And by sitting down and like penning it out, or in this case just putting it in Excel, you know, it put it in very strategic, okay, if I do this every day, I'll be making progress. And they were, like I said, able to actually exceed their goals, so they got done even faster. So, I mean, pretty much figure out what job you want to do. Do a little research on that job with some gear that you might want to get. Try and go get some of the easy gear. Ambuscade's a good way to do it. If there's certain gear that you want, like cursed gear from Sky, you would then know, you could then figure out, okay, I want to go do this NM, and then you could very easily try and do a shout group, or get your link shell and be like, well, I want to get this certain gear, you now have focus for an NM. I mean, that's the thing about 11, there's not really, like I said, dailies to set to try and do. You kind of have to make your own dailies. You got to set your own goals and figure it out. And that's kind of the best advice I can give you, is figure out which job you want to work on, and then figure out what gear you want to get. And do you want to get a relic for that job, or do you want to get a you know, mythic for that job? And I think really the big thing is you should do what you want to do. I remember in the one link shell that I was on Valafor that me and Yells ended up quitting for a while because just of the elitism from it. But I remember there was a member in that group, and he kept asking, he's like, what Aeonic should I do? What Aeonic should I do? And it's like, what Aeonic do you want to do? and they couldn't figure out, and they're like, well, is dagger good, or should I do sword? It's like, what job do you want to play? Like, that should be really your question. I can understand wanting to have more of a mainstream job. I can totally understand that, because that way it makes it easier to get into groups. Like, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing Summoner, because I know if I have a Nirvana Summoner, I can get into a lot of groups easy to get content done. But that's also been an afterthought, because, like I said, I already have an Afterglow Relic Ninja. I now have an Afterglow Empyrean War. I have quite a few other, like, I have a Paladin that has an O-Chain and Aegis. So, I mean, I've already taken time and gotten other jobs set up and geared. I have, Master, Scholar, and Black Mage. But, I mean, I did everything in sets. When I first came back to the game, I focused on Ninja, because I always loved Ninja. Ninja's great at soloing. I also already had a Kikoku. I'm like, well, I want to get this to 119 and Afterglow it. So I made that my goal, and I got that relatively fast because I was already somewhat geared. After that, I was like, I like tanking, so I'm going to focus on Paladin. So worked on Aegis. Already had no chain, so I didn't have to do anything there. And then I just figured out what gear I needed. And like for Paladin, you want to make sure you have damage taken sets at cap, which is 50%, depending. You want all, whether it's magic or physical. So I was making sure to get all the gear for that, and then once I hit 50, that was my first goal. It wasn't optimal, but I still was at 50, and was definitely good enough to do whatever content. And then as I slowly got better gear, I was able to optimize more and push my HP up higher, and just better gear, so I performed better. And, I mean, I think that's the best way to do it, is just, I mean, figure out what job you want to do, and set your goals. That's really the best advice I can give you. If you have any questions about specific jobs, feel free to ask. There's some jobs I know, significantly better than others, but I mean, figure out what it is that you want to do, and honestly, do what it is that you want to do. I don't think you should be like one of these people that's like, oh, well, what Aeonic should I do? I have 50,000 beads and I can't decide which one. I mean, figure out which job you want to play and then go do that one. I don't have any regrets, like, getting my ninja, like, leveled up. Like, right now, ninja's highly desired for Ambuscade, and I'm going in there and I'm outperforming everyone else because I've taken the time to, level it up and get it geared up, and I just do really well. And again, it's a job that I've always enjoyed. And I think that's the best advice I can give anyone that's asking that, is figure out what it is that you want to do, and just take a little bit of time of research, and then go out and do it and set your own goals. Make realistic goals for yourself too. Like I said, just be like, oh, I'm gonna do one Dynamis run, or I'm gonna do Dynamis for an hour a day, so I'm making progress on my relic. And like an hour a day, that's a realistic goal to set for someone who's trying to progress in the game. Obviously, everyone has different restrictions of what they can do because of life obligations. We all only have 24 hours in a day, but I also think that this can be applied to pretty much any area in your life. If you want to start a business, you sit down, okay, how do I get from A to B? What do I want to do? How am I going to get there? What would be the path to set out? And that's how you got to go about doing it. I am planning on, in the future, I'm trying to figure it out, but do job guides, kind of like, okay, for, like for Ninja, you want to use these different sets, or for like Black Mage, have a a nuking set, a Magic Burst set, and kind of show how you want to aim and progress that character. And I think that'll help a little bit for people deciding. But I've said it, I think 3 times now. Just figure out what job you want to play, figure out what you want to do or what you want to get, and go for it. And if you want to go the mainstream route, don't feel bad about doing that, but do that because you want to do it, not because that's the mainstream thing. If you want to do something that's not mainstream, but get another job progressed up, then go ahead and do that. I had a couple of people be like, why did you make a Yukon Verse or whatever? It's like, well, I had the weapon from way back in the day when it was like freaking diesel, and it still is awesome. Like, since I afterglowed it, it's the level 3 Aftermath. I can get in one round of attacks, if it's a double attack, as much damage as a weapon skill does. It's just a ridiculous weapon, and I'm not sure why people are like, oh, you should only be using Ragnarok. It's like, I get it, Ragnarok's a great weapon, I'll go make it because it's not hard to make relics. It's just a little bit of dynamis every day and you can knock it out pretty fast. But it's like, I already had the weapon. I don't see any problem with it. It's a ridiculous weapon. So, yeah, figure out what you want to do and go and do it. I hope this helps you out. If you have any questions, anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best to answer them, but like I said, just enjoy playing the game. I think if I could sum everything up, enjoy playing the game, do what you want to do, and have fun doing it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value out of it, and may you have success in all you do.